How can we add and subtract complex numbers? I'm going to do a few examples here. So for example number 1, let's say we have complex number z1 as 2 plus 5i and complex z2 is given to be negative 7 plus 8i. So we have two complex numbers. So we're going to do an example. We're going to learn how can you add z1 plus z2, and we can also going to do how can you subtract z1 and z2. Okay, so the first one, so I have z1 as 2 plus 5i and I have z2 as negative 7 plus 8i. So how do you add, subtract complex numbers? The rules are like this. All you have to do is combine the real part of the complex number with the real part of the complex number. Combine the reals and you get 2 and negative 7. When you combine them, you get negative 5. And then you have to combine the imaginary part with the imaginary part. So 8 plus 5 as 13i. Just like how you combine like terms, here we are just combining the reals with the same kind, which is another real number, and the imaginary with imaginary part. Very simple. And how do you do z1 minus z2? We can have 2 plus 5i is your first complex number, minus we have negative 7 plus 8i as our z2. The only difference between this addition and subtraction is that for subtraction, we distribute the negative sign into the parentheses that comes after it. So we have to change the sign of the negative 7 and the positive 8. So this becomes, you rewrite the 2 plus 5i just like that. Negative times negative, it becomes positive 7. When you distribute the negative to the positive 8i, it becomes negative 8i. So all you did was distribute the negative to both these terms. And then the rules are the same like addition. You combine the real with the real. So here the real numbers are 2 and positive 7. So 2 plus 7, you get your real part as 9. And then your imaginary part is positive 5i and negative 8i. So they add up to become negative 3i. So that is how you subtract complex numbers. Let's try one more example. Example number 2. So for question number 2, in the first part, we only have an imaginary part to it. We do not have a real number part to that number. Minus, you have 6 plus 10i. So you rewrite this whenever you have subtraction, you distribute the negative sign to both the numbers inside the parentheses. So you get negative 6 and negative 10i. After you distribute the negative sign inside, you just combine the real with real and imaginary with imaginary. So here we see that there is only one real number, which is your negative 6, but we have two imaginary numbers, so we can combine the negative 2i and the negative 10i and call it a negative 12i. So that is question number 2. And this is how we add and subtract complex numbers.